Hi, it's Leon. Some of you may know that I'm a bit of a coffee geek, and I've been making espresso at home for going on 15 years now, and I have had very good control over everything from the beginning and end of that process with good results, except that I have been relying on other people to professionally roast beans for me, and that's exciting. I can try all kinds of different roasts and presumably at the peak of what they should be in terms of how they're roasted. But I came across a post a couple of weeks ago on Google Plus where somebody had used an air popper to roast beans at home. So I decided I'd do a little research and find out what it takes to do that. I found a really good guide on coffeegeek.com, and they talk about some considerations you should have for safety, and they also talk about a way to mod the machine, which I've done here to put a temperature probe. Mine goes up to 550 degrees, and you may be able to see there the temperature probe going right into the center of the heating element, just above it there. So I did that, and I've actually used this now twice, and I've posted about it, and I thought that I would make a video instead just to share with you my experience. So safety matter, it gets very, very hot. The beans get very, very hot. So you want to make sure that you have your oven mitts of some variety. These are the ones I'm using. It'll get in excess of 500 degrees. And so the popper gets hot, the beans get hot. You're going to be in the vicinity of the beans while you're cooling them, so you don't want to take any chances. Definitely need these. The other thing is, this is very unlikely to happen, especially since it's only a 5 to 8 minute process depending on your popper, but it could catch on fire. There's that possibility. If you walk away and are gone for more than 5 minutes, it's pretty likely it's going to catch on fire. So do take your safety precautions. I have here my kitchen fire extinguisher. I don't expect to need it today, but I have it there just in case. The other thing is you're going to need some kind of a kitchen scale, because you need to be able to control the amount of beans that you're putting in the popper. It turns out through process of a bit of experimentation, I determined that for my particular popper, which is pretty powerful in terms of the blower in the popper, I actually have to use a lot more beans than coffeegeek.com did for their popper. They were saying at the high end it would be like 85 grams, and I started with that, and all the beans blew out in a matter of about a minute. So I had to increase the amount of beans in order to keep the beans in the popper to sort of overcome the powerfulness of the blower. And after just a couple of tries, I arrived at 150 grams of beans being just about perfect for my particular popper. They don't actually move at the very beginning of the popping process, but I found that if I just tap the side of the popper, it gets them moving, and then once they're moving, they stay moving. So 150 grams seems to work pretty good in my case. And the other part of this process is that the green beans, the unroasted beans, have what's known as chaff on the outside of the beans, and as they heat up, that comes off and that gets blown out. It'll get all over the kitchen if you didn't do anything about that. So you're going to need some kind of a large bowl, which I am using one of my favorite pots. But I also put a chop in here, which with the popper arranged just so, it will help to make sure the chaff goes down into the bowl. Okay, and then the other thing that you're going to need for cooling the beans is either a baking sheet or some kind of a colander or two colanders to sort of dump them back and forth between. This big one like this I can do a pretty good job. Also, it's winter here, it's only 27 degrees outside. So when I'm done with this, I'm just going to run right outside and shake it in the open air outside where it's much cooler. Okay, well, I'm going to change gears and actually get down to the business of roasting a batch of beans. Here we go. First of all, I'm going to turn on my handy-dandy vent fan, and which is in a great location for what I'm doing, because I have a window on the left there and the fan on the right, and it's just going to blow right across the machine here and keep any vapors and smoke from building up in the kitchen. I also have a timer set here just so we can keep track of how much time has elapsed. I think based on my last two experiences, I'm going to stop it right at 5 minutes, all other factors being kept equal. And so I have my beans here, pre-measured to 150 grams. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in the hopper and put the cover on and let her up. don't know if you can read the temperature. It's up to about 350. Okay, right around 2 minutes. And almost 400 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 3 minutes and about 425 degrees. 4 minutes and about 450 degrees. And I'm just starting to hear first crack. I don't know if you'll be able to make it out or distinguish it from the beans hitting the top of the cylinder. Now when this gets to 5 minutes, I'm going to move very quickly to get the beans into the colander and run outside with them. Definitely in a second crack by now, and coming up on the 5 minute mark where I'm going to stop it. And here we go. Get that out of the way. Get my mitts. Lose the top. And dump. And now I need to run outside. Okay, so let's see how I did. These are the beans, just roasted and just cooled. Okay, so on the lower left corner, that is the professionally roasted Dolce beans from Espresso Vivace. And here is my attempt from Monday to replicate that. And to me, they're way over roasted. There's too much oil showing on the outside. They're way too shiny and too dark, and the taste is more bitter. And then here's some of the same beans I just showed you that I just did tonight. So I think I got a lot closer to the golden standard this time than in the last two tries. So I'll keep working at it, but I hope you enjoy that. Now, I cannot make espresso from the beans I roasted tonight until I have allowed them to outgas their carbon dioxide for at least 2 days. They'll probably be at their peak after 4 days. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is really the unroasted green beans will last for 5 or 6 months easily. But once you roast the beans, you really should have them before they're beyond 10 days. So this way, if I roast about once a week, I'm always having coffee that was roasted between 4 and 10 days ago. And it, I hope, will have a dramatic improvement on the overall quality of the taste of the espresso I have every day. Okay, so just one more shot, so I have more consistent lighting. In the prep dish there are the gold standard Dolce beans from Espresso Vivace, professionally roasted. And in the hopper beneath are the ones that I just roasted. It's the same blend of beans, same Dolce, but I had purchased them as green and roasted them tonight. And my objective is to try to get to the same level of roast doneness. And so I've been experimenting with the amount of time, primarily that, and the amount of the mass of the beans I start with, which affects the flow. So that also affects the rate of heat absorption. And I'm trying to get as close as I can. And tonight's example with 150 grams of beans and 5 minutes seems to get me right in the ballpark.